Hi everyone, my name's James. I'm a gardener and I'm here with my garden assistants Margot and Colin, and we've been asked by Ampersand Projects in association with Grow Your Road to share with you a few bite-sized videos where we can do some ideas using your Grow Your Road packs and also other household items to sow, grow and nurture all of your healthy plants so that you can hopefully enjoy them and eat them for the rest of the season. So I'm going to start today at the beginning, which is sowing. For today, what we're going to be using, probably use some scissors. I'm going to have a teaspoon and I'm going to use a pen. I'm also going to be using some seeds. I'm going to be using some pots. These are the ones that we get with the amazing Grow Your Road packs that Kate's been delivering. I'm going to be using some soil and I'm going to need some water. Now, the first thing to remember with seeds is that what they need is soil, water, heat and light. That's the key things, and we can use a number of different items to help them get that. But I'm going to start today with something that I know we should all have because we've got our Grow Your Road packs, so we've got some pots like this. And for pots like this, good seed to start with is something like a courgette because it's a larger seed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of the soil into this pot. I'm going to press it down so that I know we've got plenty of soil in the pot. The more soil in there, the more soil there is for the roots to develop. I'm then going to press the seed down about 1 centimetre under the surface of the soil, and I'm going to take another one. So I've got 2 of these large courgette seeds in there. I'm going to put a bit more soil on the top. And there we go. The process has started. But so I don't forget what I've put in there, I need to make a label. What I've done there is I've cut up an old oat milk pot and I'm going to cut a label to size. I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to write courgette. There we are. That's going in there. So we've got the soil, we've got the seeds, we've got the pot, we've got a label. Now we need to make sure that it's got some water. And to do that, I'm going to come over to my bag of tricks here. And I'm going to take an old punnet. This is something that I think I had some mushrooms in. The reason I want to use this is because I'm going to sit the pot in here so that I can actually give it some water. And I'm quite keen for it to get its water from the bottom as opposed from the top, so I don't drown the seed immediately, and it also ensures that all the soil gets moist. The tray also obviously stops the water running all over the windowsill or table that we might be displaying them on later. So we've got the water element, and the last thing, penultimate thing, was the heat. Now, to help us really get the heat, obviously it's quite warm inside already, especially if we buy a windowsill, a nice bright windowsill. But if we put this lid over as well, it creates a mini propagator, like a small greenhouse. It just keeps the heat in, it keeps the moisture in, and it gives the optimal environment for the seeds to start to germinate. So that is ultimately ready. The next thing will just be to put it in the light windowsill, which I can do over here. Great, you happy there then, Margot? Courgette's done. Okay, let's have a look what else we've got to sow. Now I quite like to sow some salad. These are some lettuce seeds that I already had. Oh, steady on there, Colin. And for these, rather than put them straight into one of the larger pots, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little, what I might call a salad box, which is, as you can see, an old egg box. And I've got two sides to this. In this area I'm going to fill it with soil and sow my salad seed, and here I'm actually going to sow some small tomato seeds. So let's start again. Let's get some soil into this side. There we go. I'm actually going to use the teaspoon here just to press it down. We give it a little firming, it just creates a good solid structure for the roots to develop into. Whilst I'm here, I'll put the soil on the other side as well. The difference between these two sides is that we've got one which is a bit like a seed tray, and on this other side it's a bit more what we might call modules, which are really good for sowing individual seeds. Get my teaspoon out again. There we go. Right, so I'm going to start with my lettuce seeds. Let's have a look. I'm going to put them on this plate so that I can see. These ones are quite small, and the idea with lettuce, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sow all of these seeds. What I'm going to try and do is just scatter them thinly over the surface, roughly a centimetre in between each seed. There we go. So you can see I've still got quite a few seeds left. The idea being that what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this sowing, and I'll show you what we do. We'll create a little propagator like we did with the previous courgette plant, but I'm actually going to follow up and do another sowing in about 3 weeks time. So I'll put those to one side there. I'm just going to lightly press these seeds so they've made contact with the surface. The soil's already quite nice and moist, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a light sprinkling of soil over the top, just ever so slight. Press it down, and that's our lettuce side done. Let me make a label. Lettuce. Right, so on this side I'm going to plant my tomatoes. As it's still quite cool outside, we are looking to be sowing these on the inside. There's my tomato seed, and I'm going to literally just put one of these into each module. And if each one of these seeds germinates, that's going to be plenty of tomatoes for me for this season. They are, they're lightly sat on the top, and then I'm going to take the handle of the spoon and just dip them down about ½ a centimetre under the surface. The reason I do it with the spoon is because if I did it with my finger, it's likely that the seed would come back up with my finger. There we go. Let's get the label done. comms. Great. Soil, seeds, container. Container's going to be able to soak up some water. But what I want is also something to hold the water. This is something that I would normally throw out, but I think actually it's going to come in useful here as my tray to hold the water in. This is like a pack from some tortillas. So I'm going to sit them in there like that. That's going to be able to hold some water quite nicely. I'm going to put a little bit in there. Just enough to start to soak up. And then that's also going to need some lids to act as the propagators. Again, take another punnet. Put that one on that side. I've got one here. I can go on that side. And there we are. That's all ready to go. Just going to have to get that over onto the windowsill. So I'm going to take the punnets off for a moment. And I'll move that to the windowsill later on. Just going to put that over there for now. And what I'm going to do is just make sure that they've got water in that tray each day. It just keeps the soil moist, they've got their heat, and the windowsill will give them the light. So I'm looking for them to be germinating between 7 and 14 days. Right, next one. I'll carry on with some tomatoes. Now, if for some reason you have run out of tomato seeds, or perhaps you didn't get hold of the tomato seeds, a friend of mine shared a great idea which actually shows that you could use one of these, an actual tomato. Because of course there's some seeds inside them, so what I've done here is I've taken a yogurt pot as an alternative container to use, and I had to try and make some holes in the bottom so that it could take some water in. And what I'm actually looking for right now is a little nail. Here we go. You just need something sharp. This is something for the adults to do. To make a little hole. Doesn't have to be huge, just enough to let some water in and out. So that the seeds don't drown immediately. So what I'm going to do is add some more soil in here. Tamp it down with my teaspoon. And then I'm going to cut it in half. And there you go. You can see we've got all these seeds in there. So it makes sense for that to work. Now this is an experiment. I've not actually done this before myself, but it's worthwhile doing. And I'm going to sit that down into the centre like that. And then I'm going to add the last of the soil over the top. I've got now the tomato there, and I could repeat that with another yogurt pot. Or in fact I could even use one of these from the grow pack. So we've got my soils, we've got the seed, I've got my container here. Now it needs to be able to get some water in. For this one, create my little windowsill propagator. This is an old coleslaw tub, coleslaw tub. And I'm going to sit it in the lid with the lid inverted so that it can actually hold some water there. I'm going to sit the tub in the centre. I'm going to add a little bit of water. So it sits in the tray, and I'm going to invert the pot like so, and that will sit over the top. Doesn't need to be fixed down, and that's our little windowsill propagator for our tomato experiment. Now if all of those seeds in there germinate, I'm going to have to do some pricking out, which is something that once the seeds germinate and we get seedlings, is the process we do to move them on to the next pot, which is something I'm going to look at in the next video. So for now, I'm just going to move that out of the way. until I can get that onto the windowsill later so that it gets its light. Right, nearly there for my seed sowing. The last thing I want to look at is another alternative to a container. This is some flatbread, some thins. You can use any kind of cardboard to operate as something to hold your soil and seeds in place. These particular thins came with a black tray, which is going to be ideal to hold the water. Obviously that's not going to work as the lid because it's black and we need the sunlight to get through, but as a water tray, a water bath if you like, it's going to be absolutely perfect. What I've done here is I've cut the top off this box, and that's going to act as my container. It's just basically some cardboard wall to keep the soil in place. And what I'm going to do is fill that form with some soil. Pat it down with the spoon. And there we go. Now in here I'm going to grab some other seeds that I've got, which is sweet marjoram, which is a type of herb. I'm hoping to grow a few herbs this season. Now these particular seeds are absolutely tiny, so in order to not lose them I'm going to grab another lid just for the moment. I'm going to pour some of these seeds on there. You can see how teeny tiny they are. So that's going to be impossible to try and sow into individual modules. What I'm going to use them for is basically just going to do a very light sprinkle across the top of this little cardboard box soil container. And lightly press them in. And if all goes well, there's going to come up a little forest of sweet marjoram there, which again, like with the lettuce leaves and other things that we've sown en masse in a small container, we'll have to look to thinning them out. That particular seed, I'm actually not even looking to cover the soil, they're just going to sit on the surface like that. And that's going to be enough depth for them to establish. So I've got my soil, I've got the seeds, I've got the container. Just adding a bit of water to them. The thing with these trays is what it is like, it's almost like a little bath, call it a little seed bath, and it just means that the soil gets the moisture without actually having to drown out any of these seeds, especially when they're that small. That one, to get the heat, I'm going to take another punnet. This is a very old one, I had some canna seeds in that one last year, and that's going to sit on the window like so. Now what have I forgotten? I've forgotten my label. Sweet marjoram. It can sit in there like so. And there we go. That's ready to get growing. I'm going to put that on the windowsill. So we've done a bit of sowing there. I've got some lettuce sown in one seed tray. I've got some tomatoes sown in a module. I've got my sweet marjoram sown in a seed tray there, and I've got my experiment, which is the tomato cut in half, put into some soil and also created in a small windowsill propagator. And hopefully that's all going to work out. So thanks Margot, thanks Colin, it's been very good, I hope I've done alright. And I'm now going to sign off and I'm going to set up for another video, which is going to be looking at how we move our seedlings on, which is called pricking out or thinning out and potting on. Great, thanks very much guys, bye bye.